Hello, welcome to day 23 of our Inktober challenge. My name is Kelly Bluen. I am a certified Zentangle teacher, and I am showing you a new tangle each day for 31 days. I am taking the list from Stephanie Jennifer. It is linked below in the description of this video, and I'm using what she suggests we try every day. So today is Qurtuba by Ada Rico Moan, a CZT. And I am doing it on these little 2-inch tiles and then on a compilation piece. I have a micron pen, a pencil, and a blending tool, little 2-inch tiles to put the tangle on, and the compilation piece is white cardstock. It is 8.5 by 11, and at the end, all 31 tangles will be on this sheet. It's looking pretty full. Okay, so this is day 23, meaning we have today and then 8 others to fit in this area. It's so exciting. Okay, one thing I like about this particular Inktober is she has included a lot of like border tangles. And this is another tangle that can be used as a border. So it's just beautiful. All right, flip this over and let's get our pens. Okay, I'm going to do this across the center. And so I need to put a little area to draw this border inside of. And I'm going to try to make it about the width of my finger. So I'm going to go a little bit above here and a little bit below down here. And we're not worried about perfection or exactly straight. We just want this little area to tangle inside of. And then we're going to aura that. So we're going to put a line, and these can go on the outside, or if you feel like you want this inside part to be smaller, then you can put your line on the inside. It doesn't really matter. Okay, if you are familiar with YOLO by Angie Gittles, this one is very similar, which is probably why I love it so much. It starts with a wavy line, it has some curls and some little leaf shape pieces, and it's just beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna take my pencil to make my little wavy line in here, and I'm doing it in pencil so that I can erase it if I don't love where it ended up, okay? So I'm gonna pretend like this right here is sort of the bottom of that first wave, and then it's gonna come up and down and up and down. Just fit what you can in there. And then we're going to trace that when you have it the way that you like it. And if you want to make yours more even or have the same amount of bumps as dips, you can change yours. Okay. The next step is to put in some little curls, and I'm going to start at the top of this little border, and they're going to be on the right side of these bumps. So I'm going to take my pen and just sort of follow this up, and then I'm going to come out here and give it a curl. And then this one here, I'm going to kind of take my pen and sort of come up and around and give it a little curl. And you should have this little triangle shape in between. And then we're going to go on the right side of the bottom. So we did the right side of the bumps. Now we're going to do the right side of this bottom bump here. And instead of going up and curling, we're gonna come down this side and curl this way. So we're given this little triangular area again. On this one, we would come down, scoop over, and give a little curl. And it doesn't really matter how big or small you make these curls. Maybe you like them to be smaller, maybe you like them to take up more space. It's up to you, but we are going to add a little bit more to it, so you'll kind of see how that plays out. Okay, each of these spirals are going to end in a little shape that's like a little teardrop. So wherever it is, you're just going to kind of bump out and bring it back in and fill it in. Sometimes that's easy to do as you make the curl, and sometimes it's easier to go back later and add it. Okay, I'm going to skip this curl over here for a moment. I'm going to go down to this one. So now what we're going to do is from this curl right here in this little pointed crevice, we're going to give 3 loops like a flux shape. And I like to do the middle loop first. I don't know why, but I'm going to go 1, and then I'm going to put 1 underneath it and 1 on top of it. 1, 2, 3. Same over here. 1, 2, 3. I think I do the top one just so that I know I've got room. I mean the middle one. So I know I have room for the top and the bottom. And these little things are all going to the left. Now this one right here, I don't really have a lot of room because it's the edge, but maybe I have room for one of them, or maybe 1.5. So I'm just gonna kind of sneak in there whatever I think I have room for. And then where these little loops meet this curl, we're going to nestle in a tiny little circle and ink in that space behind it. So right here, it's right in between those little petals and that curl. And that's Qurtuba. Now, one thing that she does is she inks in these triangles to give it a little bit of drama. But in one of her variations, she tucks in a little circle or an orb in there and then inks in the rest of the area. So that's what I'm going to do. But you could fill in the whole thing if you want, or you can nestle in a cute little orb. I can see part of one over here. And she also gives a little flick in each of these petals. Qurtuba. Isn't that beautiful? If you click on the packet below and you go to this tangle, you can click on the word Qurtuba, and it will take you to her step outs and the variations. And she uses it as a fragment inside like a little square, or she'll put 4 of them together. She used it around a border. So many great ways to use it. Now I just want to embellish this a little bit by adding another Qurtuba single on each of these 2 corners. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a little mountain and a curl. So I'm just going to kind of come up here. My mountain is going to try to aim towards this corner. So I'm going to go up and down and then give that little curl like that. And then over here, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to do it the opposite way. No, how should I do it? Maybe I'll do it the same way, so both of them will be kind of going this way. So that little bump, curl. And from those curls, we're going to do 1, 2, 3 loops and try to fill up some of that empty space with those little loops. You want to really fill in, nestle in a little circle, and put some flicks in those little petals. Okay, I'm going to initial and do some shading. If you want, you can erase the lines that are already there, but I'm just going to leave them, it's fine. So I'm going to do the outside of this whole border pattern, and you don't need to make it very thick, but I would make it kind of dark so that it really shows up and gives that definition of that shadow. And I'm also going to do this inside edge as well. Okay, with my blending tool, I'm going to push that into the paper and push it out a little ways from that line. And same thing down here, I'm pushing it into the paper and pulling it away from the line. Look how elegant that looks. Okay, now I'm not exactly sure how you would shade a single, but these look really flat to me. So I'm going to go along the outside edge. I could do the inside edge, but I think outside is going to look good. And then I'm going to do right in that little spot where those petals meet. So right in there. And then my blending tool already has some graphite on it, so I'm going to put some in these curves and a little bit around those spirals, just so it's not so flat. And there we go, Qurtuba. So elegant. What a beautiful frame that would make. Okay. We get to add it to our larger piece. One thing I had not done until this point is look at the upcoming tangles to see what we need to fit in this area. I am going to show you, it's kind of fun to have a little surprise each day, but I want you to start thinking about what we are going to add. So this is the handout linked below. This is Qurtuba, and look at how the variation where she nestled the little orbs in there. I love that. Then we have this one called Letterish. Ing, which is kind of a border type pattern. It grows long. Owl Peak, which also can be long. Yeed, also kind of long. And then the last four that we do are not long. They're more like a compact monotangle. Okay, so that's what we're working with. That's what we still need to fit into our composition. Okay, so where to put Qurtuba? It's so beautiful. Oh goodness, where should it go? I feel like because I have this one here with a nice clear border and I have these ones kind of in each corner, I want to put this one down here. I like it when I can connect it somewhere, but I feel like I want this to be right here, and then the other ones will nestle inside. So that's going to be my plan. And then should I put it straight? Should I put it as a curve? As I'm looking at it, so I still really want to find a way to fill this in. So I'm wondering if I should take this and have it come down this way so that it partially goes into this one. What was that one called? I'll think of it in a moment. And then we can fill in this area with some orbs and some shading and just kind of get that little corner taken care of. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have it come down here, and it can go straight or it can curve. I think I'm going to curve mine. That seems like a good idea. Okay, I'm gonna start with pencil so that I figure out exactly where I want this. I'm gonna zoom way in. Okay, I really want to use up some of this area here. So I think I'm gonna have mine go like that. That seems like a good idea, doesn't it? What do you think? I think so. I like the idea of it coming out of the corner, but I think this will be great. Okay, so I've penciled it in, and now I'm going to use my pencil again to do that curve inside. So I'm going to come up here, here, here. That looks pretty good. Okay, now I'm going to use my pen to ink in those first lines that we made. And if I'm bumping into one of these, is this mythograph? Mythograph. If I bump into it, I can just lift my pen so that I don't cross through it. And I'm going to go a little bit wider up here. So this would just sort of disappear back in here. And then it needs an aura, so I'm going to do that aura on the outside. And one over here. And then I need to put in this curved line that touches the top and touches the bottom. I did it. Whew, that felt scary. It's hard to go against something like this that has all of these little spindles sticking out. Okay. Did you find a good spot for yours? They all end up being good spots wherever you put it. Okay, I'm going to do that right-hand side of each of those sections, but I'm going to start with the top ones. So right here, I'm going to come up and give this curl, and it ends with that little fescue type shape. And see how I have this pretty little triangular area left? Same thing over here. Now, I made this one really huge for some reason, and if I put in a tiny little curl and then tiny little petals, I'm gonna have a lot of empty space. So I'm gonna purposely make this one take up about half of that area. Come up the side, jump over, give it a spiral. It's a lot larger than that one because I wasn't thinking about taking up a lot of space, but now I know I need to. And then over here, I'm not going to be able to see it. It'll be tucked behind the frame. Okay, now we're going to come down this little hill and scoop and swirl this way. Again, trying to take up about half of that space. So I'm going to come down and over, give a spiral like that. This one is tricky. Here's what I recommend. If you're up against another shape or a frame, I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to imagine how I would come down and over and put in that spiral. So I can imagine like this would dip down and back up and my spiral would come out there. And that helps me know where I need to put those lines. It's not perfect, that's okay. Okay, I'm going to grab an eraser and I'm going to erase my pencil lines. And I'm going to put in those little petals, and again, I want to take up space. And I like doing that middle petal and then the other two. And the little circle that sits right there. This one. And the little circle. Maybe you're starting to bump into things, that's okay. And then I have this last one here. So I'm just going to try my best. No one's gonna notice if it's not perfect. And then I really like how Stephanie Jennifer, in her example, she tucked in these little orbs here, and I feel like that just takes up some of that white area. So I'm gonna do that same thing because I made mine pretty wide. So I'm gonna tuck in one there, there, and there, and then I'm gonna ink in those little areas left over. These tangles are yours to play with, so do what you want. And then there would be one down here, but I don't know if I can make that work. I'll try. And then over here would probably stick out some of these little loops. So I'm gonna do that just so it doesn't look empty there. And because I added these orbs, I'm not gonna put an orb in these little triangular spaces. I'm just gonna ink them in. But of course you still can. if you would like. I love having this drama, these dark spaces like this. It adds interest, it breaks up some of those little tiny lines. And then flicks or little lines inside each of these petals. I love this one. I love it. Okay, I'm gonna do some shading. I'm gonna go along the outside edge. Again, it doesn't need to be very wide, but don't be afraid to go dark. Let me show you. Let's take this moment to do an example. I'm gonna do that side really dark. And then down here, I'm just gonna go really light. Sometimes it's scary to put down too much. Now I take my blending tool and I can blend this light one. Nice and soft. Look how pretty that is. And now I do this one and I just have thick, not thicker, but heavier graphite. Let's see the difference. Do you see the difference? This is beautiful, nice and light, but this one has that drama. It shows that dark shadow, and the next thing that comes into it is going to tuck underneath. So down here, I'm not gonna do nice and light. I'm gonna go dark right against that line. And let that be nice and bold. And then maybe inside I'll do it a little bit lighter. But I need to do this inside edge, and I don't think I'm gonna do this part lighter. I am gonna lift up my pencil though when it gets to these dark triangles, just because they don't really need pencil. Already dark enough in those areas. And then I'm just going to try to go through mythograph if I can. I do like that being bold as well, this inside. And I think I'll go around my little orbs that look like little Mickey Mouses. I was at Disney a couple of days ago, so like Mickey Mouse is on my mind. And then I'm gonna put a tiny bit in each of these, like the crevice where these little petals tuck in, even though there's probably already enough graphite there that I don't need to do that. And then just a little bit around those little orbs. Absolutely beautiful. I love how that looks. Okay, I still have this area here, and I'm not quite sure I want to fill it in yet, because what if we find something else we want to sneak in here later? So I think I'm just going to leave it. I can, however, if I want, go around these little mythograph strands, these little branches that stick out. And I can give those a little bit of shading if I want. You don't have to. But if you want, it'll just kind of get those ready for whatever we put there. And I did some around these ones that overlap. Okay, the only thing I didn't do is put graphite down here along the frame where Qurtuba nestles down inside there. There we go. Let's back up and see how it looks. Very cool. I love how this is turning out, you guys. I hope you're loving yours as well. And please join me on Facebook at Let's Tangle to share your work. You can join my email list at www.minsofzen.com. I have a subscription box coming out November 1st. If you are interested, join my wait list or join my email list and I will be sending you information. I also have a December junk journal kit coming out soon, so follow there for all of the great things. All right, see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.